This is a hot take. I'm non-binary, and I don't think you should get an X on your passport. Here's why. Hello, my name is Kay, and I am a non-binary U.S. citizen, and I feel like right now there is a lot of confusion about what's going on, and there's a lot of people scrambling to find answers and solutions to a problem that is currently going on. And I just want to, before I dive into my thoughts and opinions about this, I just want to give a bit of backstory or context to myself and why I feel like I should A, talk about this, and B, have any idea what I'm talking about. So I'm from Oklahoma, woohoo, small town. But when I was 16, my family moved to the Middle East. I grew up in the Middle East. Doesn't really matter where. If you follow me, you probably have heard a bit of my backstory about where I grew up specifically. But that being said, you can also find all this on my channel. I just don't feel like I need to divulge the details in this specific video. But that being said, I found out what top surgery was at the age of 18 while living in the Middle East from somebody from the Middle East. And I immediately was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want. That's what I want to do and what I need to do to feel more comfortable in my own skin. So that's what I decided to do. I did, however, wait 10 years. I waited until I was 28 years old, and I paid for it myself because I didn't want to ask for money. I felt like it was something that was my choice, so I needed to pay for it. So that's what I did. Saved my money and got my top surgery. But growing up in the Middle East, I obviously, being trans, non-binary, gay, not allowed, not a thing. It's just not. There are underground communities in a lot of these places, gay clubs, things like that if you know about them, you know about them. If you want to know about them, you can probably find them. They're very under the radar. But if you are traveling, there are a lot of places that still do not accept or understand what it means to be trans or non-binary or even gay. And that's kind of the whole point behind this video, and why I'm making it, and why I think it's important to talk about it, and why I think it's important for more people to talk about, especially those of us that do travel a lot and have the experience. So by the way, I don't know if you've ever had culture shock. When I was 16 and we moved to the Middle East, they told me that we were going to have culture shock. I didn't really. I was just fascinated by the culture and the religion, and was able to travel to different countries that were in, third world locations and environments, and deep poverty. It really opened my eyes to the world, and that we as Americans, we may complain a lot, but we really do have it made compared to 99% of the rest of the world. And most people that are complaining about things here in America have never left their hometown. And I will put a blanket statement there. So I didn't really have culture shock, but when I went from the Middle East to Australia, I had a bit of reverse culture shock, which I didn't even know was a thing. But then I moved to California and I had real reverse culture shock and was like, oh my God, everyone here is naked. And everyone is just making out everywhere, just openly. It was crazy because in the Middle East, PDA is not really a thing. You can't do it. You'll get arrested. You could get deported. You could get killed. It depends if they're having a bad day. But that being said, especially if you're, in the LGBT plus community, if you are a part of the alphabet mafia, it is not accepted in a lot of places. So when I moved to California, I got settled, and then, several years later, I finally had my top surgery done. I did a whole series on my top surgery and recovery and all that stuff. If you want to go find that, have fun. But when I was living in California and was getting my top surgery, of course, I had to go to gender therapy before to get a recommendation, and, told the person that essentially what I just told you guys is that I waited 10 years to make sure this was what I wanted to do, because it is something that is very popular right now. It's whether for good or for bad, it is something that is ramping up a lot, and a lot of people know about it now, and a lot of people are thinking that's the direction they want to go, and some people are regretting that decision. So it's something that really needs to be handled with care, both on your part and the doctor's part. But they, of course, at the end of the day, are trying to make money. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because when I got my top surgery, I went and got a new ID card from California that had an X for a gender marker. And when I got that made in California, they did ask me if I wanted to put an X on my passport as well, because it is, or was at the time, federally recognized. Non-binary was a federally recognized ID marker that you could have on your identification card and your passport. I said no. And I'll tell you why I said no. And this is my main sticking point for this conversation. And please let me know your thoughts below. If you travel and do have an X on your passport, I do want to hear from you specifically, because I think it's really important that we do talk to people and hear from people that are actually, dealing with these things, or if they are having issues with these things. I do want to hear from you. So please, in the comments below, please let me know if you are dealing with any issues, or if there's, if you are doing fine, if you're traveling just fine with this gender marker on your passport. But the reason I said no is that my father still lives abroad. He still lives in a country that is very, very conservative, to the point where I fear that if I were to travel to go see my father, that they would detain me and not allow me into the country, and or arrest me upon trying to enter that country if I were to have a gender marker that is not male or female on my passport. So that is why I opted to not have an X gender marker on my passport specifically, but it wasn't just for this. There are a slew of other countries. I can't even list them all. Probably several hundred countries that would probably also detain you and or arrest you or deport you immediately, put you back on a plane, back to where you came from. So back to America, which is, obviously I have an American passport at this time. I am working on dual citizenship for another country that my family is from originally. So working on that so that I can more easily travel throughout Europe and things like that. But that being said, I said no, because I would like to go see my father. And I would like to go to other countries like, Italy, and other parts of the Middle East would be great. China would be sick. I would love to travel to a bunch of different places that would otherwise probably not recognize the X on a passport and have further questions. And like the worst thing ever is dealing with Customs and Border Patrol. By the way, if you've never been out of the country, no matter where you go, they are going to treat you like you are a criminal. They are going to immediately just assume that you are a actual terrorist and a piece of shit, and they will talk to you in such a way that will make you feel like you are also committing a crime, even though you are not. It's the most anxiety-inducing thing ever, is going through a border crossing. No matter where it is, Canada, Mexico, I've been to a lot of countries, and every single time I feel like I am also committing a crime, and I'm like, Am I a horrible person? Like, should I? What? It's hilarious. But I do, also have global entry so that I can, which is like a further background check essentially through the government, stating that I have been thoroughly checked and may proceed. By the way, global entry is like the greatest thing. You don't have to stand in that long ass line at customs. You literally just walk past everybody and go up to a scanner. It scans your face and you continue on your way. They stamp your passport and you're through. It's like a 30-second process. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't want them to take my picture at TSA. Motherfucker, you have an iPhone. Everybody's got your ID already and all of your information. This is not the hill you should be die on. If you want to be able to freely travel across the country or across the world, you're going to have to deal with it. If you want to go to China, they literally monitor every waking moment of your life. So, that being said, if you are trying to travel out of the United States and you have a US passport and you want to get an X on it, but you want to go to China or Italy or a number of other countries, maybe reconsider at this time. Unfortunately, the state of America is very different right now than it was even 6 months ago, when an X was a valid marker on an identification card and a passport. Now, I don't even think you can get an ID card with an X unless you are in California or maybe like Oregon or San Francisco, like in California, right? I live in Nashville, Tennessee now. When I moved here and went to get my ID card here, the lady at the DMV literally looked at me in my face and said, "We don't do that here." And I said, okay, well, it's federally recognized. This was back in 2021, by the way. And she said, "You have to pick one or the other." And I looked at her in her stupid face and I said, "Surprise me." That's how I handled that situation. Anyway, so if you are trying to travel out of the country and you have a US passport and you are wanting to get a gender marker that you identify with, I would maybe hold off for a bit. I would just ride out these 3 years. If you're not really trying to travel a whole lot, just wait, man. Like, honestly, just wait. I think the real ID thing is like a real issue right now because everybody waited 10 years to get their real ID. I got mine when I got my TSA pre-check clearance and all that shit, and my new ID when I moved to Tennessee. I got the real ID. I had a real ID in California as well. I've had it for years. People are so like lackadaisical until the last second, and then when something finally goes through, everyone's panicking. That's why it's so hard to get an appointment at the DMV. That's why it's so hard to also get your passport updated. Expedited times are still like 4 to 6 weeks, so good luck getting a passport anyway in time for whatever it is you need. But that being said, my personal opinion is that the world is still too far behind to understand and accept non-binary and trans people, and unfortunately that's the way it is. That's the world we live in. It is changing, but it is going to take more time. So just be patient, and that doesn't mean you're not who you are. It just means that you need to be safe when you are traveling, and the safest way to do that is, unfortunately, to, put your at birth gender marker on your passport and ID at this time. And God forbid you get arrested in a foreign country and you have an X on your identification card. Where the fuck are they going to put you? Where are they going to put you? They're going to have to check your genital areas, and then they're going to put you wherever they deem fit. I'm just letting you know that's how it's going to go. Not saying you're going to get arrested in some other country, but God forbid you get detained and put in a cell overnight or something. They are going to put you wherever they feel like they should put you, and that could put you at risk. I'm just going to put that out there. So it's not about taking away who you are as a person. It is about your safety at the end of the day. And I want more people to be cognizant about what's going on with the state of the world, not just that you're being oppressed in America or, whatever your thoughts are about the current political climate. It's not about that. It is the simple fact that the rest of the world, as well as America right now, but the world is just too far behind to understand and accept who we are. So for now, I would just wait. I would just wait and be patient. Again, it doesn't take away who you are. I get it's liberating to have your identity marker reflect who you are as a person, but unfortunately that is just not the state of the world we live in right now. That's all I have for you guys. I am sorry to bring you this sad news and bad news. I just want you to know that it's coming from a place of love and care and protection for my fellow non-binary and trans people. We have Pride Month coming up in the month of June, and we know that it's going to be a shit show. So please be safe out there, guys. Please protect one another. And honestly, a lot of people are like, I need to get out of America because they're, attacking trans and non-binary folk, which sure, you could leave and go somewhere else that maybe accepts you or maybe doesn't, or you could stay here and fight for what makes this country great. And that is that even after I lived in the Middle East and Australia, I could have stayed abroad. I could be living anywhere right now. I chose to come back to America because this is the place where I felt I could be the most free to be myself. And it is. It is at this current moment the place where I feel that I can be the most free to be myself, regardless of the political climate. That's just the way it is. Maybe I see things differently because I have spent so much time abroad, but that's just the way I see it. And my opinion is not fact. It is not the end all be all. Everyone's got their own thoughts and opinions. Please share yours with me down in the comments below. And if you guys have any questions about traveling abroad that you would like me to answer, maybe I can help with those things. But for now, I will leave you with that. Stay strong, keep enduring. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. I have so many YouTube channels that I do other stuff on, by the way. I have a music channel. I explore abandoned places on another channel. I film rocket launches on another channel. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, I'll put all my other channels down below for you. But for now, that's all I have for you. My name is Kay, and I hope you guys have a good one. And maybe reconsider. Or maybe just wait. I don't know. Just wait. It's a crazy time right now, but hopefully things, I don't know. It's not going to settle down, so I'm not going to say that. But hopefully one day things get better. And yeah, thanks guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.